another Hollywood UFO movie, and this time David Grusch is involved. That's interesting. And the Top Gun Maverick director is attached to helm this project. So that is going to be the topic for today. Is it a coincidence that they're both being centered around disclosure and things along that nature? And I'm talking, of course, about the Spielberg project. Is Spielberg involved in this at all? If not, did he help broker the idea? Did he connect Joseph Kosinski with Grusch? Let's go over the report that came out, first of all, and then we'll talk about our thoughts on the subject. So here is the report. I believe it's from Deadline. Deadline reports that Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer are eyeing a reteam on UFO disclosure-themed feature, The Dish, which is interesting because that was going to be the name of Spielberg's movie until it was changed to Disclosure. Now, following collaboration on the smash hit Paramount sequel Top Gun Maverick and the forthcoming Formula One pick F1 for Apple and Warner Brothers, Joseph Kosinski, Jerry Bruckheimer are eyeing a reteam on a hot new package out to the town. We're told that the as-yet untitled project is akin to a UFO disclosure-themed take on All the President's Men, the classic 1976 political thriller from Alan J. Pakula. At least 9 bids for the project are in around town from suitors like Amazon, Skydance, Lionsgate, Sony, Warner Brothers, Paramount, 20th, Apple, and Universal. David Grusch, a former U.S. Air Force intelligence officer and Pentagon whistleblower who gained attention in 2023 for his claims about the U.S. government's involvement in unidentified aerial phenomenon research, will executive produce and serve as a consultant to the project. Once a niche, easy-to-dismiss topic, UAPs, formerly known as UFOs, have moved from the fringe of conspiracy theories into mainstream discussion in recent years, largely due to declassified military footage and government acknowledgement. Part of this shift in perception came with 2017 reporting from the New York Times that revealed the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a group at the Pentagon tasked with investigating UAPs. In subsequent years, the U.S. Department of Defense has confirmed the authenticity of several declassified Navy videos showing fast-moving objects that pilots could not identify. Congressional hearings in 2022 and 2023 further legitimized the topic, with intelligence officials emphasizing national security concerns. Grusch himself spoke out in 2023 asserting the U.S. government had been secretly recovering and studying non-human craft, which of course sparked even more public interest. Best known for directing Top Gun Maverick, the Tom Cruise sequel decades in the making that scored 6 Oscar nominations and made more than $1.4 billion globally, Kosinski has more recently gotten behind the camera on Brad Pitt's star F1, which zooms into theater June 27th. Other recent projects for Bruckheimer include Bad Boys Ride or Die, as well as Young Woman in the Sea and Beverly Hills Cop, Axel Foley for Disney and Netflix, respectively. I think this is major news. And I'll tell you why I believe that in so many different ways. The first is that Deadline is reporting this and not reporting it as these goofy guys, they're just capitalizing on the UFO topic, and it's always been a fascination, the foo-foo, the fee-fee, all that stuff. They said it used to be kind of a fringe topic, but has made its way into the mainstream recently after reports from 2017, 2023. They are reporting on this. In this article alone, if somebody is reading and checking their daily entertainment news through Deadline and sees this and goes, wait, what a minute, wait, who's this David Grusch? He did what? And they start to go, they look into it, they start to Google it, and they pay attention to it. At least, even if 5 people happen to do that, that's a win. The other side of it is that this movie is gearing more towards All the President's Men than some alien invasion movie with, and I love E.T., and War of the Worlds was fun for the most part, but movies like that don't really, they could be fun, they could be interesting, they could be good fantasy, and why not, right? But right now, if you want to help this topic in general, and you want to get people actually talking, so if you go back and you watch my videos that I did on Spielberg, when there was a movie announced that he was doing a UFO movie, nobody really knew what it was going to be about. Was it going to be more War of the Worlds? Was it going to be E.T., or was it going to be closer to Close Encounters, right? So I was hoping that there'd be a movie more so along the lines of what he did with the Post and something like that, leaning into disclosure. And originally the movie was called The Dish. and then it got announced that it was disclosure. And so I'm wondering if they're going to play into everything that's been going on with a bit of the Spielberg charm, which is kind of what you want. And then when you hear that Kosinski wants to do an all the President's Men version of this with David Grusch not just being a consultant, executive producing it, there is going to be a lot of this when you're watching it, saying, okay, so the beauty of him executive producing and being a consultant is there could be stuff that he maybe necessarily couldn't have put in testimony when he was talking that he could put into a fictional film. I don't know necessarily the rules, but there's a way to do it where, well, this is fiction. This isn't something that I testified or said this. It's almost like when, it reminds me, again, maybe it didn't work out the best, when in The Sopranos, when Christopher Moltisanti was working on his script, and he put a lot of things in there that actually happened, and, shit went down because of it. I think he wound up whacking the writer because he didn't want shit to get out. But I digress. My point is, you can put a lot of things in there and a lot of stuff in the way that they did in Close Encounters with the pilots, and Hynek was on the set. You had Jacques Vallée was on set, and there was a lot of things that people watch that movie. A lot of people reference that movie and say he was talking to people because there's things in there that have just been reported in general. So if you have David Grusch involved in this more kind of political thriller, and the idea of disclosure, it does make you start to think also, well, there's a couple of things here. The first, David Grusch, we haven't seen him. He was supposed to have a document come out and talking about everything, and then that kind of didn't happen, and then he was going to speak up at one of the conferences, and that didn't happen, and then he's just been kind of off the grid, and then Jake Barber came out, and you're like, okay, well, he's kind of taking the ball from Grusch and running with it. And Grusch hasn't been around. There's been rumors that, okay, yeah. So if you're Luna and you're those guys, you want to get him involved in the task force and have him be involved in more things, and they probably still will do that. But he hasn't been quiet. He hasn't been silent on the sideline doing nothing. He, to me, made a very smart decision and said, okay, I'm going to go, and whether I assume he was approached, I'm going to do this thing from the director of Top Gun Maverick and Jerry Bruckheimer, one of the biggest producers of all time, and I'm going to tell them what I know, and we're going to fictionalize it, and we're going to put it into this thing, and we're going to make a big document about it, and maybe I don't know, maybe this is something that wasn't even discussed in the article. Maybe they're doing a true life story of Grusch. Maybe they're doing a thing of him and saying, this is where I worked. This is what I did. Maybe someone's playing David Grusch, and it's leading up to the hearings, leading up to other things. Maybe not. It doesn't necessarily say that it's going to be that, but I would not be surprised if there is a character very similar to David Grusch that is in this. I'm very much looking forward to the Steven Spielberg UFO movie because of how locked in he is to this. This just skyrocketed to my list of anticipated, because this was the kind of movie that I was hoping in general that they were going to make, because how does it line up with anything else that is supposed to be coming out? And if you have this task force that actually makes waves and does things, and more information starts coming out, this is a thing, as I talked about in this channel, probably to which understandably you guys are sick of, where I say that the mainstream media doesn't cover this stuff as much as I think that they should. This is a very interesting way to do it if it's not just a sensationalized fictional movie, but yet saying these are the things that are really happening out there, and it brings notice to this topic in a mainstream way by putting major stars in this thing, by getting people out there to see it, and hopefully it does well. And if it does very well and it gets people talking, look at the way that albums skyrocket on artists when they do biopics, So if somebody goes and you see this movie and it's a award nominated type of film, and why do you care if it's award nominated? Because that's when you start to really get people talking about it. It's in the press a lot. It's discussed. It gets people saying, oh, this is actually a thing that happened. And then there'll be fact checks and all these other things, but it'll be good because there'll be a lot of spotlight on it. So I love this story. And they say in Deadline right now it's called The Dish, and I wonder if it was a trade back and forth with Spielberg. Again, I don't know if Spielberg, because the reason why I think Spielberg could be involved, at least connecting the dots here, is because Spielberg, there's a video of Spielberg and Tom Cruise after Top Gun Maverick, where Spielberg kind of grabs Tom Cruise and goes, you saved Hollywood, you saved this, you did this. So he's clearly very big on Top Gun Maverick. So I'm assuming that he has met Kosinski, and this is all assumption and speculation, but it just seems the way this thing works. And maybe their mutual conversations of UFOs and UAPs came up, and Spielberg follows this stuff. Spielberg knows what's going on. So I wonder how much of the Grusch stuff was tied in, but it's very interesting. I love this story. Anyway, what do you guys think of this story? Do you think that it is something that is just another Hollywood movie and we'll see what happens? Or it is important? It is getting more spotlight out there. It is taking away the taboo if done correctly. What say you? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know what you think of this new movie. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I always tell people if they want to support the channel, they can become a member or get something wonderful for yourself. And that is Public Rec. I'm going to tell you about Public Rec, and then I'll see you back here real soon. Bye-bye. My style has gotten so much better since I started this podcast. I'll tell you that. I've just learned about companies that I didn't know about before, and I'm so glad. Public Rec is like my go-to. I love Public Rec. I've been so comfortable in these pants that I've been getting for them. And I'll tell you, you want to be real? Let's get real. Nobody's got time for these stiff, uncomfortable clothes anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, it's February. It's cold. And you deserve to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Public Rec does that. Then the pants I'm telling you about, they're a game changer. They're designed to be as comfy as your favorite sweats, but they are way more stylish. My wife saw them in them, and she's like, oh my gosh, what are those? I said, at Public Rec. Super soft fabric, no stiff seams, and enough stretch to keep up with whatever your day throws at you. It's not just about pants. They have so many great style options, whether you're working all day in the office, running errands, grabbing a drink with the guys. Who doesn't want to look sharp without sacrificing comfort? And I'll tell you, once you put them on, you're going to wonder why you ever wore anything else. Now, Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants ever made, but they have a huge selection of high-quality, everyday premium styles. You can revamp your entire wardrobe with their perfect-fitting polos, shorts, hoodies. This February, treat yourself right because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference. For a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using the code DTE at checkout. You just head to publicrec.com, you use that code DTE, you're all set. Oh, when they ask you how you found them, you got to tell them that we sent you. It does. It really helps us out. Find your perfect fit. Never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules.